Good afternoon to all from India. This is Abhivardhan from ISAIL, and today we have one of the first roundtables we are doing this year, which is on vehicle automation and the future of cybersecurity. Now, before I introduce the speakers, let us at most understand what we are going to discuss today because this is something which is a very interesting topic, and it was a decision we took, weeks ago that we would go for this. Now, one aspect we need to understand is that automation, which is a part of artificial intelligence, a subset of artificial intelligence, is actually growing rapidly, and people are encouraging it, which is fine. I would say that autonomous systems and autonomous services are a part of a bigger information future. However, at the same time, when it comes to automated services, whether in vehicles or in any, there will be certain important concerns which are connected with the market and also with the thought leadership that actually encourages it, because the thought leadership itself defines how things will go on. So the bigger issue here is that there are mobility services, and the focus is that vehicle automation will be focusing on a stage beyond accessibility and I should say availability, because it will be now completely concerned on how we will go on when it comes to mobility, and when there would be a consideration that cybersecurity will be at the forefront here, because cyberspace is the new physical space in that sense, obviously not the physical space as we know, it will anyways affect our lives. And that's why we will discuss how industry leaders, uh, thinkers, scientists, and developers are working on this. We have some experts also who are in the meeting, and I'll introduce the experts to you one by one. So we have Mr. Pinaki Laskar, who is also one of the members of the expert panel on law and technology and international affairs in ISAIL. He is the founder of Fisheye Box, one of the emerging and impeccable AI startups. Uh, we have Sushant Samudrila, who is the who actually runs his own IT law firm and works with various clients around the world on issues related to blockchain, automated systems, smart contracts, and so. We have Professor Suman Kalani, ma'am, who is the chief research expert of ISAIL and one of the key members of the research directorate in our team. And lastly, we have Ms. Lubna Yusuf, who is the founder of La Legal. She has written some impeccable books on artificial intelligence, and she's been working on the same considerations regarding automotive cybersecurity markets and concerned vehicles and so forth. So I would actually urge Pinaki to actually start a discussion, and I would be really happy if he would put forward the very background and understanding of what actually we are discussing. So, Pinaki, I would pass the baton to you, and please introduce the topic more, explore more, and tell what you think about it. Please.
Hi everybody, and let's starting this session. Very interesting session with autonomous technology and the autonomous vehicle or driverless car you have heard about, and how the legal system or cyber security will be a major role play in autonomous technology. These are two major points we discuss. One is the technology and how it is impacting the society and impacting our life or will impact the life, and how law will take a major role in implementing this technology in real life. These are the two major parts which will be discussed today. Starting from the first part of the thing is with the future of mobility. So what autonomous vehicle is also one type of future of mobility which we are thinking of and which are coming very soon. You have heard about the connected vehicle. You have already seen the advertisement or in the news that it's already implemented in the system. In connected vehicle also the security issues are there. But when I'm using artificial intelligence, then the system is more intelligent than what currently is, and that is what the autonomous vehicle will be in terms of technology terms. So in future of mobility, we have a new driving dynamics. Driving dynamics is that instead of mechanical connections between steering and wheel, what currently we have, it will be electrical signal via data cables or in a network within a network system. So that is the new system for mobility in future, or if we can say it is a drive by X platform, that which are improving the system of autonomous as well as the automobile industry. The industry is shifting towards consumer electronics now. See, automobile itself is an industry. Now you can think as a automobile as a consumer electronics, like your mobile. Like mobile is a consumer electronics. So car in future will be a consumer electronics. It is less than the hardware, more onto software. So it is, the combination is 60% is software and 40% is hardware. So the companies will be thinking, or company will get benefit to make money on mobility, not on the cars, because this total dynamics of the system has changing. So we'll talk with the first point is called integrated vehicle dynamic control. So what is that integrated vehicle dynamic control? Which actually continue this system will implement in a car to make it more intelligent. If you heard about that, industrial automations from third to fourth industrial automation is happening. In that, three major points are important to discuss. First is disruptive technology, second is innovation, third is digital transformation. These are the three major points which is happening across the industry, and automotive is one of the industry which is also changing the dynamics in terms of industry regulations. In that part, the autonomous vehicle and its systems are improving day by day. Now, I have mentioned that interactive vehicle dynamic control. What is that? This is a major part which we are discussing today as a technology part, how the car or your current mobility will be changing in future to a autonomous or mostly AI driven part. It needs a lot of eyes in the sense in terms of sensors, laser, radar, GPS. These are the things which are giving the power of getting interactive vehicle, or the dynamics of the vehicle is changing with this hardware. And this hardware, with the use of artificial intelligence and deep learning, it is continually optimizes driving style. That means, like a human being, how we learn driving with an example, like we take a course, and after that, by experience, we learn during driving. So similarly, the car also having the method of his learning, and how in coming days or in the learning process, he optimizes its driving style automatically. Right. Coming to the market scenario, why it is so important that we are talking about autonomous vehicle? What are the scenario will be? Currently, the EV and AV market is thinking that the market will evolve by 2030 it is around $60 billion. So it's a huge shift, and out of this, only sharing mobility will be at $20 billion. This is the bigger part of a business in the market, which is shifting from normal mobility to autonomous mobility. Now I'm coming to the question that how this system will integrating with the cyber securities, or how it will be affecting the automobile safety in terms of law. Now, new driving dynamics depend on two things. One is CAV and one CAM. CAV means connected and autonomous vehicle, and CAM is connected and automated mobility. It depends on global navigation satellite system. It's mainly defined by PNT. PNT means positioning, navigation, and timing. These are the three major points where we are having a problem to think that if weak signal is coming, if no authentication is happening, the result will be a CNA or cyber attack. CNA means computer network attack or cyber attack. It already it can be used as a cyber attack also. Now, how I'm going to get a problem on this attack? In two ways. It is one is called jamming. Jamming is as a denying of access to the information sharing to the car. Like if you know the autonomous, it will be data sharing between the infrastructure and other vehicles and from the clouds. Then how, if you are jamming this to a cyber attack or CNA, then the jamming is one of the major threats for a security level of a car. And second part is spoofing. And the presenting, and this represent incorrect or altered data. Like for the data is that I can manipulate the data and transfer to the data to the car in a altered way, so that we can hack the car. Even that is the point we want to say that. So in technically, these points are defined how we are hacking the car. These are the two major issues which are arising. But as a in this researcher in this domain, what we are thinking, how we are thinking this will solve this type of problem in terms of vehicle dynamics. The first is that the question is that if intelligence system fail, then how I'm going to use like how I'm going to stop this threat in terms of vehicle dynamics. In vehicle dynamics, we need an existing ECU. ECU is one of the point that electrical control unit, which is the main part of the autonomous vehicle, that are actuated, if you can. This already in the system, which will take control if there will be a hacking system. You have heard about the word cloud computing and edge computing. These are the two different. Edge computing will be playing a role over here when the cloud computing or the cybersecurity threat will apply in an autonomous vehicle. And in built dynamics in this system will take care of that in case of an emergency. These are the broader level of how the system works, and autonomous vehicles are into high risk of cyber securities. As I said, why people need to hack this? Why need a cyber security in this domain? The 2 point is, in every second we have 1.7 MB data generated by the car, and that is the point where is the data is the main domain or the main concern of everything today's date. Even the privacy or the business, everything is in there. And 1.7 MB data per second is a huge data which are going to generate in the autonomous domain or autonomous vehicle. And that is where the concern of cybersecurity and hacking is coming. Next part is experience. Apart from that, why the data, and the next is the experience. And in a year, cars runs around 3.2 billion miles on a year. So it's a huge time where we can use experience as a productive way of human ability or the skills. Instead of doing a driving, when the driver autonomous vehicle will have, we can increase the productivity in different prospects. So I have just given a few points to understand, and this how it works later on this, we'll discuss more on the point that how and what will be the other features and how the discussion is going forward. So over to Vinandan, you can now move that to the other speakers and the other persons who are.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the insight. So I would then ask Lubna to give additional insight on this, and then I think I can pass on the baton maybe to the viewers or maybe to the next speakers. So, Lubna, the stage is for you. Please give your insights on the scene.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, yes, it's perfectly audible and visible. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So a very warm welcome to everybody for joining in this discussion on automation and cybersecurity. A very well timed discussion on this, that we are now venturing into this space in the coming future sooner than we would have expected otherwise. And thank you, Abhinandan, for conducting this workshop. So when we talk about cyber security and automation, especially in terms with what the Indian scenario can be, then we need to really look at how many vehicles that we use are actually automated or semi-automated, and how soon or how far are we into being fully automated, number one, and how far are we from getting into the fully driverless car system that can create these kind of issues. So the driverless car system will come later, but right now what we can concern ourselves with is the automation sector. So when we look at our laws per se relating to cyber security especially, we are still in a nascent stage because we do not have a different or a very inclusive, separate, well-defined cyber security act or a law yet. But we are in the process of having the cybersecurity bill, which is going to be passed, and we our IT Act, and which is read with the other Companies Act and the IPC and other regulations by the SEBI. They have certain sections and bylaws which can help in the interpretation and in the regulation of automated vehicles. Now, how is this actually a part of vehicle, and how is law a part of your the car system or automated car system? We have to look at it in a very simple way, by as simple as that any device which is now connected to the internet is a smart device and can be hacked. So the same happens when your car becomes smart or automated, and then it's connected to any internet device. Either it is the surveillance system or the payment system or your credit cards, or it's connected wirelessly or via a USB through any ports which are present in that smart car. It can be your device. It can be many multiple devices connected to that vehicle. So each and every such device connected wirelessly or with wire to such an automated vehicle can be hacked. And when it is hacked, then the question of the cyber security or the laws which are going to regulate and prevent and control these kind of hackings comes into picture. So in US, as far back as 2015, there was a $2 billion dollars worth of investment just on cyber, cyber insurance, cyber threat to automated car insurance. And in India, we are yet we are far behind to think of insurances on cyber attacks on automated cars, but this is something which is going to come very soon, sooner than we can anticipate, and it's going to be there. And we have to be abreast, and we need to keep with the laws. And till the time being, we need to interpret this cyber threat as with the existing laws that we have in place. In including what the the law that we have with IT Act, we also have something called the Companies Management and Administration's Rule, 2015, 2014, which actually very clearly states that the company has to ensure that the electronic records and the security systems which are there in the company, they should be secure, and they should be secure from unauthorized usage. So when it comes to your automated vehicles, this can be interpreted and applied in that sense that if your automated vehicle is susceptible to cyber crimes and you are not making the user aware, or you're not taking adequate precautions, or due to your negligence there has been an attack or a data theft or a credit card theft or any kind of security hack which has happened into that vehicle, then the company is also liable technically. So these are the questions which arise, and these are very interesting concepts that we need to, be aware of as data developer, software developers for these companies, as well as the owners and the people who are working directly with manufacturer and distribution and sale of, automated vehicles, because cybersecurity is a very important as well as a very relevant in your face, threat that we are going to, be a part of, because your car system or your automated vehicle system can be treated as any other device, which will not only hack your laptop or your computer or any device that you have plugged into, but it can also steal a lot of things, or it can either hijack your car, it can stop the car from working, it can lock the brakes, it can unlock the brakes, cause serious accidents, serious injuries, and a whole lot of a plethora of crimes can occur. So it's a very serious thing, because a car has a minimum of 100 microcomputers embedded in smart cars or semi-automated cars even. So and as you get updated and upgraded versions of these cars, the entire system gets more and more complex, and we need to deal with these complexities at a very micro level. And we, because we are all liable for any damages that can occur from them. So do you think we are open to some questions, or perhaps something that we can discuss that you want to ask me?
Okay, I see. Maybe the questions are not with us for now. So what we can do is, uh, let's actually calibrate this to Sushant. So Sushant, as we are discussing this and considering the modalities so forth, um, what is actually your take on this? What
Um,
do you think?
hi, hi everybody, and thanks Abhivardhan for this wonderful roundtable. And first of all, I would like to start off with my personal experience when it comes to automation, because I was on a car hunt. Let me tell you this wonderful thing that I have come across. Of course, it's still in a very nascent stage, and maybe we can not treat that completely as automated vehicle or an AI based vehicle. But I can tell you that recently. In January, I was looking for a vehicle actually, and then when I was looking at so many vehicles, I came across this vehicle called MG Hector, basically, which had this wonderful caption called "Internet Inside," and I was fascinated, and I started looking more into it because it had something to do with technology and things like that. But I have quickly asked them few questions, and let me tell you that the showroom guys were wonderstruck with the kind of questions that came to my mind. So I told them, "Is your car having any kinds of immobilizers to sense hacking? Because it's an internet-enabled vehicle." They were shocked to, with the way how things are populating in cyberspace. And not just that, I told them that is the car collecting the data in compliance with the privacy laws? That was one another question that I posed to them. And third, If there is an accident that has taken place due to any unauthorized access beyond my control, would I be immune from liability? This is the third question that I asked them. And finally, I asked them, is there any insurance, covering these kinds of things, because you're advertising it to be an internet-enabled smart car. So these are the four questions that I've asked them, and I did not get any reply from them. But however, one interesting response that I got from them was they are going to release a vulnerability patch regularly. So then I told them, how will I be able to schedule that vulnerability patch onto my car? And then they said that this particular vulnerability patch would be available on the dates and the time which would be scheduled and notified to all the customers. Then I said, okay, so what if I am unable to do that on that particular day? Is my car still vulnerable to cyber attacks? Yes, it is vulnerable because I don't have their so-called vulnerability patch on place. So these were the four points that quickly came to my mind when I started to talk of automation. Of course, this is a very, very basic and I can tell you a primary thing that is there in the present Indian automobile industry. As unlike the other countries where they've already started to use driverless cars. But however, this was something that I found interesting. And apart from that, see what I have started to notice is that when you look at automated vehicles, there could be a lot of areas that we have to actually look at, primarily from a cyber security and also from the legal perspective. Number one, I don't want to talk on the points that have been already pointed out by the earlier speakers, but I wanted to just talk about two things primarily. Number one is that in case my vehicle is remotely accessed by somebody, what is my take on it? That's one area. And second area is in case there is a failure of an internal control system, then what is it that is likely to happen? I think these two are very interesting scenarios that need to be quickly answered in terms of autonomous vehicles. What if the internal controls are a failure? And second, what if there is an external attack happening? So, what are my remedies? I thought these two are some interesting perspectives that we can discuss in the roundtable today, because there are lots of debates and interesting elements that could pop up with regard to these two. Not just that, but specifically when we talk of the autonomous cars getting connected themselves to internet, I think privacy of both personal privacy as also data privacy would also be an interesting element that we can look at, because it's not just the vehicle, the personal data or the sensitive data that's being collected, but what happens if there is a breach of personal privacy? Somebody is able to access my picture in the car, and it could well be misused. Then what happens to the kind of privacy issues? That's also going to be an interesting thing, I thought. And when I was just trying to look at it from a legal perspective, specifically with regard to cybersecurity, I found that UK and US have come up with some key principles that every car manufacturer should be compliant with, specifically from a cybersecurity perspective. That's a very commendable thing, shall I say? But of course, they need to be still updated, given the constant, frequently changing nature of cyberspace. But they have come up with some key principles for automated vehicles from a cybersecurity angle. So I thought that's also something that has to be definitely done. But apart from that, I think to what extent are car manufacturers or the car owners or the car drivers aware of cybersecurity and some basic legalities is going to be an interesting question altogether. So I thought these would be some of the key pointers that we can discuss on, and then further our discussion on these areas. Well, one last point before I conclude. What I want to initially tell you is, since we don't have dedicated laws, as the earlier speaker was pointing out rightly, that we don't have dedicated cyber security law in the country. But however, what presently, when you look at the IT Act, specifically the concept of intermediary, I think every car manufacturer, every car reseller and distributor, and also the car owner would become some kind of an intermediary, because they would be given collecting information and giving some kind of service. That being so, I think it's going to be a very interesting aspect that can the automated car manufacturers, distributors, and also the car owners be brought under the ambit of intermediary under the present IT Act is also something that I wanted to put forth in this roundtable. So thanks. If there are any other points, I think it would be lovely to discuss.
Thank you so much, Sushant. We have one question from Ridhipal. The question that he asked is, I think, open for all. So the question is that should automated cars be awarded separate legal identities that the programmers or the owners and the manufacturers should be charged if an accident occurs due to the fault of an automated car? Actually, that's a very common question. I think I have seen this question coming all the time. I mean, there's one professor in a conference I attended last year, and similar questions are being asked on these contexts. And I think on the liability framework, I think really something cannot be concluded right now. But one thing is for sure that a proper study on it can actually give estimably better results. But anyways, dealing the questions is always a good idea. So just a simple thing. So Pinaki or Lubna, any of you would you like to deal with this question?
Yes, so hi, I can answer this in a legal from the legal point of view. I can tell you that even though there is an absence of a cyber security law relating to specially mentioning liabilities or responsibility related to automated vehicles, the question arising about giving a separate legal entity to automated vehicles is what time is going to define, in the sense that it will take a lot of time, but we can still construe it, we can interpret it as the as a thing or a product which has been manufactured by a company. So therefore the company is jointly and severally liable, with the people who have worked for this vehicle. So not only the company, but as well as in that sense the company as well as the researchers or the coders who have worked can be jointly liable for the acts which are or the problems which the vehicles might create and another person's life. Because when we read the contractual liabilities, when we read contracts, when we read the concept of liability, we talk about joint and several liability, and we also talk about something called a vicarious liability, during the course of employment. So technically, these two things, if you look at it in a vicarious liability perspective, then then the company is fully liable, because for the acts which are done by the employers during the course of employment, for those acts the company is liable. But when we look at it, when the company hires or engages other workers or scientists or coders or programmers on a contractual basis or a separate basis, and then they are also jointly or severally liable, because they are part of the coding as well.
Really interesting points made.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll answer it. This is the legal point Rukna has already discussed. And
sure.
what is the roles for who are the manufacturer and a program in terms of technical aspects? Definitely. So that is how it was defined and what is going to happen. We are thinking as a stand going for a bit technical because that is the answer need to be understood by you also. That how is going to be handled, right? We are thinking as a system of a system. Is a mobility is not only one system now. It will be a system of systems. Means there are different very different levels of system. Whatever the same microcontroller will be or ECU, or not a controller, if you say the ECU will be multiple ECU instead of one. So in case of intelligent fails, the intelligent security take place, and it will be in an alternative. So there will be alternative options for the got to be taken care of. So suppose if in case of manufacturing, sorry, in case of system failure, like there is a computer system failure, so another system will be taken care of that. Number two, in terms of cybersecurity threat, there will be an intelligent uh, uh, part of this where this system, cybersecurity will be handled by an intelligence system, which is the part of the subsystem. So this is what we call system of a system. So it's a multiple layers of system where it will work, where we can have a support in terms of your the problem we are facing. See, the technology is still need to be in nascent stage. It will be developed more and more. The learning process or the decision making power of the AI is still not very as a human being. So there are problems. So it will be in coming days, or it will take 10 to 15 years time, as per my opinion, to get into a level of human intelligence. And coming to the manufacturer, yes, manufacturer companies have to take a liability if there is some accidents or something fault goes on. Not the programmer. Why? The programmer is, it's not a programming or algorithm we are defining. It is a architecture or the framework of intelligence. Artificial intelligence is me. I'm giving a system or artificially intelligence. So the programmer is not liable on that, because the learning process and this, which will be up to the mark of human level of intelligence, then it will work on that. But it is not the only the programmer is not liable, because programmer is a one-time job for them. After the process of learning will be need to be developed in a process of deep learning, or if you say the neural network what we talk about. These are the points which need to understand. This more complicated thing, but still these questions what I personally feel need to be answered in that way. So I give that.
Abhivardhan, I would like to add something if you permit me.
Sure, please. Sure.
Yeah, see, fundamentally, my take is that, see, some kind of responsibility would have, or would also have to be put on the coders as well, because the fundamental reason being, I think for deciding any kinds of liability, I think first it's very important that from a legal perspective, I'm not talking from technical perspective, but my view is that for any for subscribing any kinds of liability to any entity, whether it's the manufacturer or whether it's the coder or whether it's the car user, I think fundamental aspect what we have to understand is, are they have they complied to if there is any regulation, have they complied to the regulation, or to what extent are they duly diligent? I think that is what the law will primarily have to look into, because in case the coder is not duly diligent while he's executing the code and he misses the standard and what is expected of him and delivers it, I think some kind of responsibility also has to be put on the coder in that regard. And apart from that, even the manufacturer needs to have certain kinds of what do you say, due diligence parameters, to so as to ensure that while rolling out the vehicle, he has these in place. And of course, the car owner also has to, or the car user also has to have certain due diligence parameters. Only if these due diligence parameters are failing, I think the concept of liability can be subscribed when you specifically talk from a cyber legal perspective. And I'm trying to make my point even more strong, given the present IT Act, which specifically gives a statutory exemption to intermediaries in case they are duly diligent under Section 79. So, based on this kind of a principle, I feel that while valuing the liability, I think these also have to be taken into consideration.
Really interesting points.
Yes.
So let's
Can
address.
I add something to what Mr. Samudrala said?
Please go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I absolutely agree with him. And when we actually point out a liability in a very legal perspective, the interpretation of the word liability, as well as the extent of damages, the diligence, and the way the things have impacted, and the and everything becomes very non-exhaustive, in the sense every case is different and similarly every damage will be different, and the extent of the damage and the extent of the problem will actually also impact or be taken into consideration when we talk about technically legal liability, or the whether the coders are liable or the programmers are liable, like he very rightly pointed. But at the same time, when we look at it in a very deep legal interpretation, there is a concept of absolute liability, in which even if you have not if you have not done any negligence on your part, you can still be liable, because the act was done under something which you have created, like a simple case what we had seen in the Bhopal gas tragedy case. So if you look at it in that way and interpret it, the future automation vehicle, we can yes, of course, you can say that due diligence was taken and we were not negligent. But suppose there's a damage which is to the extent that your negligence can also be avoided, and even though you have not conducted negligence, your coders, your programmers, and everybody can still be held liable. So it is all depending on the facts and circumstances of the case as well. So this is just something I wanted to add as a legal point of view.
I think it's
Abhivardhan,
been
one small point. I mean,
sure, sure.
just allow me in a minute. See, it's a very interesting roundtable, and we've been hearing different perspectives. But presently, I mean, I'm not here to debate, but I just want to tell you that, see, when you look at the IT Act, specifically Section 81, which has an overriding effect, which says that if there is a conflict between any other law being in force and the IT Act would have prevalence. I think that being so, I think there can be some kind of statutory exemption. I feel it's just my personal opinion, not to debate on anything, but just I thought of just putting forth this also in the roundtable.
Yes, that is also there. Like what we said, we cannot really say till it actually happens, or some proper act is actually laid down with definitive terms. So you are also right, you know.
Fair enough. So I will address the two questions which have come first, and then we'll go on with the same. I think Suman ma'am also has to deal anyways. So Vivi had the question. I don't know if we have addressed this question or not. Whether the purpose of the crash optimization algorithm is to mitigate harm when an accident is inevitable. So, where will the liability approach lie here in a fourth or fifth level autonomous vehicle if we are taking India into consideration, and how our outdated laws gonna adopt to this? One aspect which I would give is that we should not have outdated laws, at least some circular, some regulation, or some non-binding document of some, I should say, public purpose must come, like suggestive guidelines. But I think some public-private cooperation is necessary. But anyways, I'll pass this question to Sushant. Yes.
See, definitely, what I would try to tell you is that, see, when you have this option of putting up crash optimization algorithm to mitigate it, right? Basically, if the mitigation could have, I mean, say, what has to be taken into consideration is, has that been executed well, or is it not executed? If it was executed, I think there can be some kind of exemption from liability, because though you have exercised it, and still in case the accident was inevitable, and then I feel that you can try to take the statutory exemption under the present law, because ultimately, when you look at the intermediary concept under the present IT Act, I think any automated vehicle manufacturer also would be broadly covered under the ambit of intermediary. So this is purely talking from the present legal perspective. And because we do not have any particular laws, like the earlier speaker pointed out. See, we are only looking at the present laws, but I feel definitely that there is a more scope for coming up with quick amendments, because we have to meet, at least do some kind of we'll have to at least keep ourselves in a broader way to cover the existing technologies. So I think that being so, I think my take is this when it comes to the liability part.
Okay, great. With Pal's question, okay, two questions merged together. Okay, with reference to an efficient learning process, isn't it just a matter of time before an AI learns a way to overcome an obstacle? In that sense, if a vehicle has an algorithm which wants it to reach from point A to point B as fast as possible, and every day a certain amount of time is being taken, but one day huge amounts of traffic causes delays, and this triggers a response by the vehicle, which drives on the pavement only to reach its destination and ends up hitting someone. What about then? Okay, Pinaki, would you like to deal with this?
Yeah, the thing is, I from the previous conversation only, I'll just put on some of the new points. See, what we are talking about in respect of current scenario, right? What we are thinking as autonomous vehicle is not run by algorithm. Remember, algorithm is not AI. AI is something which we have a misconceptions. So machine learning is one type of algorithm, you can say, but AI is not an algorithm. It's an intelligence. You have to understand this word, because everything what we are terms as AI or whatever the AI means, AI is not automations. Currently, what you see as a AI, it is all advanced automations. It is nothing related with intelligence. Intelligence is something different. Intelligence is defined as the decision taken by himself, or if you say in a technical way, you can define as a thinking science, or even the sense that science between engineering and intelligence it is what we call AI thinking, basically. So the term itself, what you are currently I'm using, and the prospect of current scenario, it will not be this, will not valid for the future prospect. Number one. Number two, currently, and everybody has it in his mind, that security issue depends on the technology department, IT department. It is not like that. Technology is only a department. If you would say security is a IT issues, it is not. Security is a business issue. It's a department not only liable for IT or technology. It is the whole system is liable for it. There are guidelines. If you are going for autonomous, there will be a standardization of this automation. It is not only the department of that is liable. Our perception is thinking that cybersecurity is an IT department. What I have to do in a marketing department on that? No, it is not like that. And that is why this system never changes. We have to think in a different way, and that disruption is needed when I'm thinking for a future technology or emerging technologies like AI. It is not like it's a black and white thing. It is an intelligence which you cannot predict, you cannot write it. Right. So in this sense, also whatever if we are going to a point here, these are moral or ethical issues. What we are trying that responsible AI is one of the major point or explainable AI where we will define it, whether he will do it or not. There is the role of biasing it comes. If I have to decide that, if companies decide on that, then it will be going to bias. If I am not going to bias by the company rules or regulations or policies or the standardizations, then if AI is taking the decisions, it is not a bias. The responsible AI, that means the problem which we will be addressing in these questions, that will be solved by them. But still, if you tell me in current way that what will happen, it will be there. The answer is there will be there. Even for a programmer, you will not be able to program it such a way that he will do the destination. He will will reach the destination with someone doing the accident or going fast in a traffic. It will not be like that. It is taken on the decision of the power of the learning of the car, which is already built in intelligence in that. Whether I am able to explain it or not, you can give me an feedback on that. So this perception have to understood this. What are the current law? It is mostly into IT related. There is no law of intelligence. We are talking about intelligence. The emerging technology is not related by algorithm or derived by formulas. It has its own method of doing this. So that is the point we need to think, and the law will be forming in a completely new form. The policy have to be a new. It is not relevant to what currently the prospect is, because that is the way we think. That is not the right way to make the policies for the emerging technologies also. But I personally feel that is my opinion on that.
Abhivardhan, I
I
would like
think,
to add something.
please do, please do.
Yeah, to the specific question that has been put up, talking about the efficient learning process. I think when we look at the UK's key principles for automated vehicles on cybersecurity, I think they have laid down 8 principles, and one of the principles states that what kind of mechanisms have to be adopted in case the vehicle responds in a different manner altogether due to due to some technical glitches that are happening. So they've also mentioned and given some kinds of roles and responsibilities on the manufacturer, that while they're rolling up these vehicles, they need to adequately assess the security risks, manage them appropriately and proportionately, and then push it to the market.
That's really an important point out there. So I believe we have covered several important aspects, although it's a very short roundtable, but we are there still. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can ask. But I would also come to Suman ma'am for this, because I think we have not got her a chance to cover. So, ma'am, would you like to give any take on what have we discussed so far? And
Actually, Abhivardhan, I'm so sorry. I just came back because I was not. So I think I've missed quite a bit of discussion actually.
yes, okay, not an issue. So, I think we still have to go in this frontier as what we are discussing in VSCT. And so forth in that scenario, one thing is for sure, like as Pinaki said, that it's not just algorithm, it's not just data, it's not just the same rhetoric on AI, ML, RL, DL, whatever. It's beyond, because more or less what is it is that if you see the classification, not talking about the basic bookish classification of AI, I'm not even talking about the 3 stages of AI which are usually discussed, the narrow super intelligence in general. But more or less, what is happening is that AI is a disruptive technology, and disruptive technologies which are emerging, they will have certain mathematical or technological semblance with whatever has been in the past, and obviously what has been, I should say, improved. That's what we do. Learning mechanisms, processing mechanisms, interpretability, and all of that will be a part of it. But beyond this, one thing is for sure that we can consider artificial intelligence and all its kind of emerging technological categories and byproducts and offsprings to be like kind of an animal kingdom. It's like an animal kingdom in that Darwinian sense that you have one particular thing which has its own complex machinery, and another thing with its own complex machinery. They are species of their own, but yes, there are certain similarities which they have, but still at procedural level and or maybe certain limited substantive levels they might be different. So that's something which is just a funny perspective I made, that you know uh, AI can have its own animal kingdom kind of classification and understanding. And I think within that, automated vehicles or autonomous vehicles come. And I think with regards liability approach, as we have discussed, One thing is for sure that we can't go on with the outdated laws, bills, and regulations will come in. One thing which we have to see is that uh, for monolithic environments, it would be a case to automate and understand how far this would go, and the adversarial role would be different. But for multi-lithic societies where it would be a complex situation, where environments are geographically not suited, like in Africa and Asia, for example, or the Middle East, where it can start, like Saudi, UAE, or wherever it starts. I don't know which country, which takes it. I think Saudi is taken for example. So wherever the country it is, environments might have a very important role. So I think that is also an avenue which might be connected. So it's like multi-dimensional scale altogether. You have cybersecurity and cyberspace together. Then you have another dimension which is technological semblance and how much people are involved. In the nitty-gritty of it, that can be another discussion. I think we have got into that. The legal side could be based on legal formalism, constitutional morality. So, but the one aspect is which is geological and related to telecommunications also come in. So I think maybe we can have one more roundtable on this issue or something else related to it. But in conclusion, I think we really had a nice discussion and much important aspects have been discussed, which I think was the purpose of the roundtable. We hope that in ISAIL we do more roundtables under AI now, and we are thankful to all the panelists to join and the concerned people who also joined. I certainly believe that discussions and quality of discussion matters beyond quantity of discussions. So it's actually really positive and optimistic to see that people are committed to this. So well, it was nice. But anyways, if people have any questions or anything that they have in their mind, you can just put it up on Google Meet or you can speak it up. Or if you don't wish to, perfectly fine. Mail us at executive@the rate. I'm putting up on the Google Meet only. And you can then connect with us anyways. And then we can, pass on your question to our panelists. And whenever they can get time, they'll just address the same. So thank you so much. I humbly thank the panelists. It was really nice time. And I think in a short period we decided this roundtable, so I'm really grateful for that. Uh, so I'm really grateful, and I think it has been a great moment so far. So thank you to all the panelists.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Abhivardhan. Thank you.
Abhivardhan, and thank you for this very interesting discussion that we had. And I think it was great to be a part of this. And I look forward to having more insightful discussions with you. And thank you to my other panelists. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to just conclude with a point. Autonomous technology and legal, there is a research option from the law legal, and I want, if somebody want to get into autonomous technology as a legal part and the research, it should be. I'll invite them to join the that particular project with the law legal, so it will be more known to the technology and the definitions of legal, how it will change and what will be. There are a lot of factors which is there, which are not the concern of current legal system. That is the part where if it is a whole community in the legal community, I will invite them to join them and take a research project on this and do evaluate or understand more on this technology and making the policy in the future. Thank you everybody.